Welcome to Shop Talk Live, episode number 195. This episode, we are live from the AWFS fair in Las Vegas. In part one, I'm joined by Tom McKenna, and I'm also joined by Justin Fink of Fine Home Building fame. And then for the second part, we have Barry Dima and everyone's very, very favorite, Raleigh Johnson, getting geeky with tools. First, I want to talk about an article that was in issue 277 and we just published online called The Rugged Journey of 600 Mallets. It's by Scott Landis of GreenWood Global, and they are a nonprofit organization that's working in a lot of rainforests, a lot of third world countries. And specifically, this project that Scott's writing about is about 600 mallets that were recently made by a gentleman in Honduras, Juan Vigil. These mallets were all turned on his lathe that is either bicycle powered at one point or powered by a small gasoline engine. And they're made from sustainably harvested, lesser-known species of wood found in the rainforest of Honduras. The great thing about these mallets is buying one of these mallets not only creates a way for Juan and his family to have a living, buying one also creates a reason for the people of Honduras to not clear-cut their forest because they're able to make a living from sustainably harvesting their forests. So I'm not going to get into the whole thing. If you're interested in it, head on over to the website and check out the article. Or if you're really interested in it, do what I'm going to do and head on over to leevalley.com and buy one of these mallets. Lee Valley is going to be selling all 600 of these mallets, and on the homepage, they have a link to these mallets right now. And next week, we actually have an interview on the podcast. We're going to have a bonus episode, and we have an interview with Scott talking about all of GreenWood's outreach programs in Honduras and Puerto Rico, and their work that they've done with Curtis Buchanan and Brian Boggs and Tim Manny. A lot of fantastic work, a lot of really cool stories about all of the crazy experiences that Scott's had. So check that out in this feed next week. Until then, here is us getting geeky about machinery and CNC machines and all sorts of stuff that has nothing to do with the rainforest of Honduras, but is still interesting. All right, hope you enjoy the show. So we are here at AWFS, and there's a lot of noise going on around us. There's a turning demonstration.
I don't have headphones, so I can't hear you.
We'll have to muddle through somehow.
All right. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Tom.
Sorry to interrupt.
Tom, who's our friend here?
Oh, that's Justin. Justin Fink.
Hi, guys.
From Fine Home Building.
Hey, Justin.
This is my first time at this show.
It is, isn't it?
I'm a little fish out of water at this thing.
So
you're fitting right in. You're flopping along like the rest of us.
Yeah.
The puns come in threes.
Oh, yes.
Just so that you know.
I'm just getting started.
So I'm used to coming to the same place. We're in Vegas at the convention center, and I come here a lot for the International Builders Show.
And what is that? Just a bunch of 2x4s?
There are a lot of 2x4s there, yeah. Engineered wood. I mean, it's a lot of, there's some overlap here. So we got, there's cabinet manufacturers here and plywood manufacturers, and some tools are in both shows. What we don't have are the gigantic CNC machines.
The factories.
And the door making
they're
machines.
Enormous, yeah. A lot of that, almost no CNC really, even the small stuff.
Really?
All of these, you mean, when you say door factories, do you mean the door distributors?
No, the door makers.
Oh, okay. Because, there's a lot of cabinet part distributors here, too. So it's kind of cool. It's a little bit of cross-training. I can see some things that I don't normally see at other shows.
Do you have a lot of hardware at the
somewhat,
but there's the hardware show, right?
It's almost like these hardware companies can really blow out the size of their booths at this show compared to the Builder Show, which is a lot bigger than this, and it's a little more competitive probably in terms of space.
Okay.
So you get, it's like any of these companies, you're seeing a slice of what they actually offer.
Right.
So it's cool that they have bigger booths here because I can see more of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's organized better too, by the way. Like there's actually
really, because I honestly
I can't.
Well, you guys are at least organized by sections. Like I can go look at all the cabinet stuff, all the CNC stuff. Ours is like just wherever.
Okay, so there's no classification or type.
No.
Well, I could see what's interesting about here is I can see the crossover between home building and woodworking is these small cabinet shops, and
Yes.
the guys who are the installers are here kind of looking at what they can use or how they can incorporate, what they're seeing here.
So can I tell you what one of the coolest products I saw so far is? It's sort of a tool and a product.
Okay.
Sounds
and
like me.
it was at the Hafele booth, which is Hafele.
Hafele.
They make Hafele. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
They make a lot of cabinet stuff. A lot of lighting, a lot of hinges, a lot of.
It's a great booth.
Yeah. I didn't realize how much they make.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always walk right past those booths.
Oh, you got to go
it's
in
great.
there.
The lighting options that they have.
Yeah,
are
I actually said to
incredible.
the guy, I'm like, "You guys do lighting?" He goes, "Oh yeah."
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
Did he actually say duh?
this is not the tool I was going to talk about, but at that same booth, they have a new little, those little for knockdown furniture like IKEA.
Yeah,
they have that little, it's like a tab, like a dowel pin, and then it has like a little crescent connector thing that you tighten. So they have a new one that's just like this highly mechanical dowel, but it's all plastic and metal, and you put it in. And then you tighten it with like this little tiny hole with a little Allen wrench. So it like really reduces the visible hardware.
Really?
And
and it's just a dowel joint that expands.
I mean, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yes.
Expands inside
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except it's plastic. It looks really cool.
So it's just a drill hole. They don't have to do like a slot for it.
There's they drill a hole in each piece, and then there's a little perpendicular hole for putting the Allen wrench in after the dowel is inserted.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
There was a Lamello.
Yeah, Lamello used to do that knockdown.
Well, they've got a new system though, and I was like, oh, it's just from a biscuit joint, and he was like, no, this is not a biscuit joint.
It's not a biscuit joiner.
And
don't ever say that again.
But for all intents and purposes, it's a biscuit joint that comes out and then raises up, and so it's making a very wide biscuit joint, but
Really?
there's actually a contour to the slot, so there's a shoulder inside. So the biscuit winds up being like this little plastic biscuit that you slide in through the curve. You do that on both sides, and then again it has that perpendicular hole that you take an Allen key, and it has a little tab that comes up and locks it in.
Up,
And some of the possibilities for knockdown furniture right now is incredible, because these joints, the joinery that I've been seeing is, I mean, I'm not going to, make a deck out of it or something, but you would probably be able to make some very, very sturdy furniture.
Yeah, everything I've seen has been very strong.
Yeah.
And so I was going to talk about something else at Hafele, but now that you're on joinery, I'm going to talk about something
I was going to say all of my furniture is knockdown furniture.
Yeah, right. Whether you like it or not. The thing, I went by the, not Hafele, but Mafel, which, they
that
make.
I can't help you with.
They make a lot.
Pronunciation.
I think it's Mayfla.
No, it's actually Mafel.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Mafeli.
They make a lot of tools that look sort of similar to Festool. They're sort of like neck and neck, although not a lot of people know as many tools. But a lot of times, if you see a Festool tool, there's one that this company makes that's pretty damn similar.
Yeah.
The domino.
So they have a domino, but instead of having the domino joiner has a little. I guess it's a router bit, right?
It's
essentially
a router
bit.
Yeah.
It's a spiral bit that
And
comes out and
oscillates,
oscillates side to side to create the slot, right? So this thing, instead of that, it just has two drill bits. So it creates a pair of dowel holes.
Triton has one, I believe.
That they might, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I start going, so what are the benefits of this? Aside from the fact that I think it's around $900 and something bucks, and you get a complete kit, like all of the accessories, everything, which you know how Festool's so a la carte, and that costs $900 just for the tool. Very expensive, man. Very
It needs
no argument there.
Yeah.
Well, even the Lamello that you mentioned is like a $1,200.
No, that
tool.
That's like a system that you're buying into for
you're cranking
that particular
out.
thing.
Yeah. Anyway,
But what I didn't realize, so then I went to see Festool after, and I'm talking to them over there, and I'm going, hey, I was at Mafel, and they have this double dowel job that, and I was like, what do you guys see as advantages, disadvantages of that? Because in my mind, like maybe there's more glue surface, maybe I don't know, maybe it's faster because you don't have to oscillate, or maybe you can just get cheap dowels, you don't have to buy the 10-ins. And they said, the thing that you need to think about though is that our domino tenons are already oblong, and that's good because the dowel is going to want to become oblong. So that's why they make. So let me back up. So the dowel, once it goes in with the wet glue, it's going to dry, and eventually it's going to, as it dries, it's going to dry more in one direction than the other and turn into an oval. And that's why so many dowels loosen up over time.
Bruce Hoadley has an article in Fine Woodworking 20 or something.
Yeah.
That made me just. It killed the idea of dowel joinery.
And I knew it, right? Like you know it because from turning.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a wet bowl in a live edge bowl a green bowl, and it's gonna turn into an oval. But I never thought about it in dowel, and I just went, oh god, it's like it's one of those so glad I asked because I would have thought this was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
So that's why they make the domino oval, and I didn't realize it's also a quarter saw in the domino, each of those little pieces, so they don't move.
Are
as
they?
much. Yeah. I think so. I mean, the ones that I looked at on the table
rive some dominoes to see what.
It's amazing what you can find out when you just start asking questions.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so back to my thing at the Hafele booth.
You still haven't talked about anything at the Hafele.
So in our world, I know you guys don't do a lot of cabinetry. But in our world, like kitchen cabinets, a lot of people have been switching over to these knockdown cabinets or these European-style cabinets, which means they don't have face frames.
Yeah.
And IKEA is definitely one that does this sort of thing. They don't have a base that they sit on. They just sit on 4 plastic legs or metal legs. And you adjust those to level it.
Yeah.
You can spin them or whatever it is. So you can imagine the acrobatics involved in putting a 2-foot deep cabinet on the floor, and so you have the 4 or 5 inch kick space, and you have to reach your arm under to the back to turn this thing.
Oh, come on, yeah.
So they came up with this little extension arm. It looks like, you remember in E.T., the little, what is the, actually I guess they didn't have an E.T., the little, that little extendable hand thing where you can pinch things, little plastic claw. It looks sort of like that, except it doesn't pinch. And so you slide this thing underneath, and then you can turn the handle, and it engages with this leveling device in the back and raises it up and down. And so I'm going like, oh God, what is this thing going to cost? And they're like, the tool is $50, and each of the little standoff things is like less than $1. So I'm going, I don't even know if I could make a base out of scrap plywood and level it with shims quick enough and cheap enough to even combat. I think that's so super cool.
How do they attach to the frame? Does the frame rest on the leveler?
I think they screw into it ahead of time, but I don't know. I've never actually worked with them because I have always just done the wooden base.
Yeah, but as a builder, as a contractor, it really seems to me that making one long wooden base flat and level would be easier than adjusting 4 legs per box.
But so we're mixing variables here. So like when I'm doing custom built-ins, I will do a wooden base.
Yeah.
But if you're buying cabinets, they're going to come either with a base integrated in it, so you have to ship each cabinet, or it's going to be these separate little legs. They don't really do the 2-part system. That's only like custom builders who do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm with you.
Kind of thing.
If I had an 8-foot run of cabinets, I would build an 8-foot base.
Yeah. Okay.
And level it out.
Because it's easy to level then. But that's not what's going on in kitchen installations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, learn something new.
Yeah.
I mean, I the one thing hi Barry. Hi. One thing I've known. I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed in this year's show in that, every year, another kind of home machine shop maker disappears from the show, and we don't have Jet Powermatic. Delta's not here, General's not here, Grizzly's not here, and so the options for what we come here to look for get smaller. But what's cool about the show as it is now is it's a real positive thing, and I see a lot more kind of brand new products or like original ideas. I'm not talking dozens, but there are a couple here that Grex is one, like they were kind of a small maker, but now they've really exploded into being a real powerhouse in the nailing market, and it's good to see tools like that. And they've got this 23 gauge pinner that's the gas powered version. Oh, and that sucker, I was just trying it a couple hours ago. I want.
Yeah,
all of their nailers are always so smooth feeling.
And it's so well balanced. It's a little bit heavy, but
it runs
because
on AA batteries, right?
Yeah, well, the AA batteries power the gas charger, and I think the tool sells. It's a pricey tool. I think it's like $400, but the cartridge I think is $25. But yeah, AAA batteries, I want to say.
Okay, yeah. I overheard a little bit of the presentation, but I didn't dig in too deep.
But those cartridges last forever, though.
Yeah, but it can fire a 2-inch, 23-gauge, pin into hardwood.
So headless, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I like it for the innovation standpoint, right? But of all the things you can make hose-free, the pinner seems like the least attractive to me because it's so freaking light anyway.
No, well,
it's like,
what I look at it for, it's I don't have to connect. I can pull it out from under my bench and I'm ready to go because I don't like turning on the compressor in my space.
Okay, I gotcha.
It's the noise factor and the convenience of I've got to run another hose. I already have enough extension cords and
oh my God,
in my shop, so I don't have to run another hose. I can just kind of get into any angle I want. That's why I like the idea of the
it's probably, again, a different world for me because I just have the compressor on because I'm using a variety of guns throughout the day.
For me, too, when I'm using a pinner, normally I'm inside a piece doing runners or something like that, and that hose is always getting in the...
It gets hung up, too.
You can't get the angle right or whatever because the hose is in the way. Now, granted, probably if I had a curly Q hose or something like that, that's a $15 solution as opposed to a $400 solution.
And I mean, the truth is, if you were a production shop, that nailer may not be right for you because you're going to be firing hundreds and hundreds of nails or pins per day for what you're building.
Speaking of that, and I'd forgotten that I saw this too. Have you guys seen the what do they call? Are they synthetic polymer nails?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that yet.
I talked to them a lot in Atlanta last year, and really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Again, it's more for production mindset. Is
it a special nailer for it, or can you put it in any nailer?
I think they were demoing it with a Senko or something last year, and it's not going to set off your saw stop.
Yep, super cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, the argument is always, well, why do you need that? You can just build so that you don't need to run into a nail. But like, what about sanding? Like just.
Yeah.
There are certain things that are a little more paint grade where not having to worry about fasteners might be an advantage.
Yeah.
Scribing something or coming back and sanding.
Did you try it out?
Planing. I didn't try it out, no.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen it yet.
There was a very, very... I can't remember what the industry was, but there was a specific industry that they were building it for. And it might have been like crating industry or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't remember either. That sounds familiar, I think.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen
I'm sure
their
anybody
booth.
can get them, though.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things where I feel like the idea is not bad. I just haven't really figured out the problem I'm solving with it yet.
Is it a solution looking for a problem?
I mean, they've made a product, but who's it for? I mean, that's what I always ask these manufacturers, like,
what are you doing,
who are you making this for?
What?
Yeah.
Go home.
You talking to Barry?
No.
One of another thing that I was really happy to see is is it Easy Mask? Is that the name of that dust?
I have no idea
mask?
what you're talking about.
It's the one that Barry was wearing, the RZ mask.
Yeah.
It's cool to see them have a booth because that's an interesting product.
There's a lot of small manufacturers.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity for them. I don't know what the cost is for a booth of their size, but it's great to see this little kind of company that grew out of. I was talking to the guy who owns the company and developed the product, and they originally started these masks for outdoor enthusiasts, like people who are riding ATVs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Dirt biking and things like that, because you need a mask to protect your lungs. And then word got out, hey, why don't you do it for this and for building? And now it's, woodworking is involved now.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool mask that doesn't fog up your glasses, has a replaceable filter.
You could try it on. Here.
Right.
That's one nice thing at
and you'll
events
actually
like
use
this. You can try them on IsoTunes.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that too.
Another company that's like small company that's always been at these shows.
Yeah.
So I've had 2 sets of IsoTunes.
Me too.
One of them is hanging on a tree somewhere in my yard. My son and I were driving the tractor. I had them around my neck, and they're gone.
Have you had any, so they have that little wire that's able to be molded around back of your ear. One of mine, from bending it just snapped.
Really?
So now I have like a little wire protruding out of the little plastic covering.
I'm a fan of the extras now. I bought the extras when they came out.
And what are those? How are they different?
It's a thicker strap, heavier strap.
Yes.
So it doesn't flop around, because I use them at the gym, as you can tell.
Yeah, I
often.
don't.
And
go to the gym or use them at the gym.
It's the thicker strap that doesn't flop around. That's the big thing. And then it's got the magnetic stop and start. So
what?
So
what?
The pros didn't have this. They couldn't get it into the pros. I was talking to them. But when you take it apart, there's magnets on the back, and you clip them together.
Yeah.
So first off, it keeps them from flying around.
Oh, around your neck, so they're hanging there.
When you clip them together, it stops your MP3. I almost said MP3 player. It stops your Zune.
Does it stop your cassette player, or is it
Does
not?
it stop your Walkman?
Yeah.
But yeah, it stops.
I didn't even know they had a different one. I wonder if they're selling them at the show.
Get the extras.
Probably.
The sound quality is not quite as good as the pros.
That's only for nerds like you. I'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I mean that's what's cool about this show, and even IWF, is just seeing some of these small companies kind of make it. That featherboard maker, I originally saw him a couple years ago, and it's a small company in upstate New York, and now he's got a great business that's expanding. I don't know. I haven't seen him if he has a booth here though.
I haven't seen it.
Is that the green one with the foam fingers?
Yeah.
I have one of those. That's fantastic.
I love that.
It's a cool tool. But,
Feather Pro, is that the name of it?
Yeah, Featherboard Pro.
Featherboard Pro.
So,
Featherboard Pro Extra.
You get the extra of everything.
The extra. I'll take extra ketchup. But I mean, then there are the regular players like Oneida, who are unveiling their new, what is it called?
You know, Raleigh's coming on later, right? You know he's going to talk about this thing.
Yeah, but the portable site, I'll let him talk more about it. But
Tom didn't get the memo. We got to leave something.
Well, I know. I'm saying you can
I
talk.
wrote the memo.
I'm talking about you can talk about it, but
I'm not going to go to details. But it's good to see, these companies are still, cranking out new ideas and products that make sense for the core woodworking audience.
So tell me about this Supercell, because I haven't seen it yet, and I'm confused.
Now you're taking Raleigh's thunder.
Well,
no,
screw
Raleigh. It's designed for what did he say? For more suction power. So it's when you try to hook up like one of their bigger dust collectors to a shop vac with a reducer, kind of messes with the system. And I'm not an engineer behind all this, but
I know what's going on.
So they developed a system that specifically increases, was it suction or airflow? And forgive me if I'm getting the translation wrong, but it's designed
like a smaller version of their Dust Gorilla Smart
sort
Boost
of, yeah,
thing.
and it's so it can handle both 4-inch diameter pipe and hose, but it can also accommodate the 2-inch hoses for routers and for some
it also
it's really smart. It's a 3-phase motor, so it actually uses it actually amps itself up.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Don't quote me on this. I haven't talked to them about the Super.
Well,
Sound.
I thought one of the cool things was just that it was a 2-stage filter that's all vertical. I mean, like the filter is built onto the top.
Yeah, it's got the pulse clean.
No, none of that arm coming off like a cactus. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
That's cool.
And it is expensive.
And I'm sure,
as most Oneida tools are.
Made in America.
Yes.
Yeah, made in America.
They're
And
definitely good.
And they're great for sucking T-shirts down.
You learned that.
Sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, it was a you problem. Yeah, I tried to. Well, I'm not going to go into it. That was covered before, but there was this other one that they don't have a booth, and this is another. I'd anticipate seeing a booth for these guys in the next couple of years, but it's called a Goliath. It's a portable CNC, and they came to our booth and were showing it to Raleigh Johnson, and it's a. I'm not a. I'm still trying to figure out what the practical applications for home hobbyist woodworkers and CNC and there's a ground in there somewhere, but this was just so cool to see. And it was completely out of the box type of product in terms of you don't have your hands on it at all. It's almost like one of those
it's almost like a CNC
RoboVacs almost, where you program it and it goes to work and you can go clip your toenails or work on some other portion of your project.
What are you doing? I'm making a dresser and clipping my toenails at the same time.
Hey, what's that noise? It's a dust collector. So
it's like a moon rover meets a Shaper Origin.
When I first saw Raleigh talking to the folks here in the booth, it almost looked like it was some sort of recording device. I thought he was actually doing a podcast with two people in my booth, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then no, it looks like a moon rover. It's got like a 4-wheel base, and it can adjust to different height levels. It can actually scoop.
So for anyone who hasn't seen it, like imagine the Shaper Origin with 3 wheels that can move in
it's called
many directions, and it drives itself around on the top of
so
it.
you just establish the perimeter of the piece you're working on, so it doesn't
it has
fall off.
Sensors that you place around your workspace, and then I guess that's the guiding force behind it. That's what drives the machine.
I'd like to talk to them.
But it's called Goliath. So
Sounds complicated.
They have some videos. Doesn't sound complicated because it works with from what they told me, it works with most CAD drawing programs and interfaces well with all of them. So if you're already using a drawing program, you can probably incorporate this. I think the price point they were talking about was under $3,000 so far.
So it sounds like they're going after the Shaper Origin kind of.
I would imagine. They didn't say that specifically, but
Shaper's cheper than that, isn't it?
I forget what they said it was. I knew yesterday, and I forgot already.
All right.
That's what happens when you're in Vegas. You forget.
What else have you seen?
Well, let's see what else your folks would be interested in.
How about your folks?
My folks. Well, I was over at this. There's a. I guess it's an English company named Lignia. Like lignins in the wood. That's what they're playing off of.
Okay.
And they have a process of treating wood. They use radiata pine, which is essentially plantation-grown pine. And they are using, they're infusing it essentially with like this polymer that then hardens and seals all of the cells of the wood so that it's fire-resistant, rot-proof, insect-proof, so it's like a super outdoor wood made out of pine. And the idea being that you would use it for building a deck or an outdoor structure. The thing that struck me as kind of cool about it is that it may, and I haven't confirmed this, but it may put decks within reach of places like California that have wildfire regulations where you can't build flammable outdoor structures in a lot of cases. And it's, they're trying to, they're sort of competing with Ipe, and those are the kind of, the less desirable exotics in terms of their sourcing.
Yeah.
Are they more affordable than Ipe?
Less than Ipe, yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like Ipe. I mean, it looks like kind of an amber-colored pine. But it was nice.
Like once you start cutting into it,
it's totally through.
It's totally through and through. So you're not like sitting there with like a resin stick priming the ends of your end
and it felt no different. It was like completely dry, bone dry, looked like pine.
It sounds like the process. I mean, I think it's called torrefication that Lee Valley uses on their maple handles. Where
that's
it's almost like they cook it.
That's
under a vacuum.
That's thermally modified.
Yeah.
This is like some sort of thing that
it's an insertion.
So they I asked them a lot of questions, but it was, I guess it's similar to the process of pressure treating wood, where, you basically force the chemical into it under pressure. And then there's several phases of drying and then, resting and drying and then pulling stuff off the line and checking to see if it's penetrated fully. And
what was it called again?
Lignia.
So those types of companies aren't showing up at like those home building shows that you
Sometimes
go to?
they do, and this seems like they're busting into the U.S.
Okay.
And, they don't have great distribution in the U.S. yet.
Right.
But, they're up for an award here, one of the finalists. So, but it was interesting. And the really refreshing part from an editorial point of view is that they had such solid and confident answers to every single question, which sometimes you just don't get. It's like, I'm going to have to find out about that for you. Like, they just knew everything about it.
Yeah.
And it was really...
That's good.
You really felt like they did their homework. And they're totally above board. Like every single testing certification, every single piece of information about the chemicals is on their site. It's all, and they're very much like eco-friendly oriented kind of. So it's cool.
Do they have a headquarters in the U.S.?
I don't know. I think the way it was explained to me is that they do it. They take rough radiata pine, whatever, and they do this process to that, and then they ship it over to the distributors here, which can then mill it however they see fit. And they're looking to get into bigger timbers so that maybe you'd be able to build a pergola or whatever. Right now, it's like inch thick or 3/4 inch thick, like 1x6 kind of stock, or smaller. You know, a lot. They're also trying. They have one variety that they're going after boat builders with to replace teak.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And it looks cool.
Does it increase? Is it heavier? Like a lot heavier than?
I mean, from the piece that I was holding, I couldn't tell any difference, but maybe a little bit.
What did it taste like?
It didn't have a smell, which actually.
Really?
I told him to send me some because I want to cut it. I want to fasten it. Drill it.
Yeah.
I want to grind it up, put it on my cereal, see if there's any.
Put it out on the grill.
Yeah.
Smoke some fish.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resin-infused fish.
I don't know. So we've seen little bits of that scattered here and there of these, thermally modified or acetylated wood.
Yeah.
But it's cool that, they're trying to come up with these more eco-friendly solutions to this plastic onslaught.
Well, it's funny normally, and I maybe I missed it, but in years past there used to be a ton of like veneer manufacturers here.
Wow,
and hardwood, just hardwood dealers, and I don't see that. I see more of what Justin is talking about, where there are alternatives or modified wood alternatives. But that's where the cabinet making industry is going. It's just you can't keep using solid wood for all these cabinets. It's just not affordable for them.
I have to pull out my phone for this one because I took a picture of the name of the company and I forget what it is. But there's a German company making plywood panels out of German beech, and European beech.
Mm-hmm.
You guys familiar with, in the home building world, we have LVLs, which is laminated veneer lumber. It's essentially plywood on edge, but for structural applications.
Very heavy to carry.
Very heavy and usually waxy.
Yes.
But it was the same sort of thing. It's a company called Pollmeyer, Pollmeier, and they have just this kind of gorgeous looking. I don't even know. It looks like you took a bunch of LV. It looks like you have Baltic birch on edge, but they make a whole panel out of it. So you're looking at that nice stripy surface, and then with like an amber colored or a brown finish on it, it's this really cool look.
Huh.
And I mean, a little of it might go a long way.
So is this being marketed for like countertops?
They had it as like, they were showing a lot of things made out of it.
Right.
But the thing that caught my attention was the plywood, architectural panels. So I'm sure that with them being here, they're looking to get into, like the dentist's office, the front desk kind of a thing. A lot of that is, that's big money for a lot of these companies. But it could look really cool on a small piece of cabinetry, I think.
Wow.
Right on.
It also just raised, just brought up some ideas of using that kind of thing, even for like a tabletop or I don't know. I just never thought of that orientation for a piece of plywood for the veneer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't normally walk out of here with too much inspiration. I normally walk out just exhausted.
Really? I just want to get back to my shop. Yeah.
My shop's hot right now.
I got to clean the
You got to
cat
get
box.
a ductless mini split in there.
Yeah.
I just installed a Mr. Cool.
No.
Man, everybody's got their Mr. Cools going on
John
right now.
Tatro came to me. He got the idea for me.
The original Mr. Cool.
I'm
John
the original
Tatro.
Mr. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Well, actually, my basement's pretty temperate. It's pretty nice. I just have to clean the cat box.
It's a basement, though.
Yeah. No, I've got windows. I've got windows, man.
God, it's a basement.
It's a basement. The one thing
how
I
do you
wish I
look at
didn't
yourself
have
in the mirror?
was lolly columns. But
Yeah.
And low ceilings. That's always the part that got me about the basement shop.
I've got big, tall ceilings.
Look at you.
Yeah.
And lolly columns.
And cat box. Ben loves my cats.
It's not me that has a questionable amount of love for your cats. It's you, my friend.
The number of times that you've talked about your cats in this podcast is staggering to me.
I know. Meow. Just scratching the surface.
Well, Justin, thanks for coming on, giving us the fine home
thanks
building
for coming to
perspective.
Vegas.
Appreciate it, yeah.
So now Justin's going to go on vacation.
That's right. I'm going to head out into the desert. Leave this place in the rear view.
Wear a hat.
It was 115 in the desert yesterday.
Don't end up like me. Wear a hat.
Yeah. Is that what happened to your hair?
Yes. Got burned off in the desert.
Registration is now open for Fine Woodworking Hands-On San Diego. To taking place October 4th through 6th, 2019 at Palomar College in San Marcos. Hands-On is all about making and doing with small classes that encourage one-on-one instruction and interaction. Pick one of these great classes. Turn your bandsaw into a box-making wonder with Michael Cullen, Developing Your Designs with Michael Fortune, Hand Tool Essentials with Chris Gochner, The Finer Points of Bowl Making with Mike Mahoney, Build a mitered box with a Kumiko top with Mike Pekovich, or make a Japanese toolbox with Vic Teslin. It's sure to be a great time. Space is limited. If you're on the West Coast, this is what you've been waiting for. We'll see you there. So we are joined by Raleigh Johnson.
Hello.
Contributing editor.
Hi.
Tool geekery extraordinaire.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
And in you are.
Most people just consider me a tool, but that's okay. But go ahead. Yeah.
But you dive into all forms of tool geekery.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You dig hand tools.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You restore hand tools.
Yes.
You do all sorts of hand tool work.
Yes.
Like you actually use a scrub plane.
Yeah. Boy, can you screw shit up in a hurry with a scrub plane?
And hold
then
on.
it gives you something to do to fix it.
How many scrub planes do you have?
I just have 3.
Oh, just have
Just
three.
three.
Yeah.
Just have 3.
There's just
you guys
3.
are making fun of me for having 2. Raleigh has 50% more than I do.
There you go. Yeah.
Raleigh pulls it off though.
I
That's
know.
There's the difference.
I know.
Well,
right.
you know, when I'm teaching people the basics of hand plane, it's fun to have them plane a rough sawn board down and get it flat.
Yeah.
You know, and boy, that first flat board, they're just like, oh my God, you know, and I tell them, okay, when you got it, what you think is flat, let me know. And of course, when they say, oh, I got it, and I grab a scrub plane and put it behind me, and I walk over and I go, wow, that looks really nice. Yes, sir, that looks nice. And I take that scrub plane and I make about 4 passes right across their board.
Get out.
And they just die right there. Oh my God. And I said, flatten them back out again. You know,
That's
you knew
cool.
how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, once a board's flat, just sitting there making nice shavings, you don't learn anything
That's
other
true.
than, you
Yeah.
know, so look at this is cool. But when you put good grooves in it, but the second time I come around, yeah, they're leaning on the board, they're, you know. But
I'm
works.
surprised somebody isn't taking a swing at you, man.
Oh, why didn't you?
So you have 3 scrub planes.
Yeah.
And you are one to dabble in machinery.
Yes.
You on many occasions have changed out heads on planers and all sorts of stuff, and you just all form of tools you're
Pretty
obsessed
much.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Power
Is this
tools.
from a young age?
Yeah. Yeah, when I was
Really?
Yeah, when I was 6 years old, I took apart my dad's lawnmower.
You serious?
And,
He was still on it. He
I
was
didn't know how to
pissed.
put it back together, but I got a lot of it apart. Somehow he wasn't impressed with my mechanical abilities, but he did get it back together.
Oh,
but yeah,
man.
I like gears, and I like. I'm a big fan of the lever and fulcrum. You know, it really.
Simple machines.
Yeah,
all
simple
day.
machines are just great. And lately, it's been a diesel tractor and hydraulics and stuff for my mowers. So.
After the podcast, asked to watch Raleigh's video of him using his tractor that's on his phone. Much like people keep pictures of their kids, or like projects they're proud of. It's point of view Raleigh on a tractor, just laying down, like 6 foot tall.
Yeah, 6 to 8
willow?
foot high willows. Yeah, just
Taking them down?
Yeah, just drive over and mow them off. Yeah.
See, now you got Ben, because Ben's a tractor dude.
Yeah. Oh,
That
it's
sounds
fun.
good.
Oh, yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know what
Diesel
we're doing
power.
after this. So, are you? But you're also into CNCs.
Yeah, just.
Do you have a CNC?
No, I don't. But the one that just really fascinates me is the Shaper Origin.
Yeah, dude.
To me, that's just kind of going to revolutionize CNC work for the small shop, for the guy who doesn't know a whole lot about CNC, because it's really intuitive, and it's the size of a plunge router, and it can do pretty much anything you want. It's super accurate.
And what we were talking about before is the adjustability, like the fine tuning.
If you're inlaying a bow tie and it's a thousandth of an inch snug, you just move the cut over a thousandth of an inch, go over it again, and it'll drop right in.
Oh, so you can perfectly zero. Like there is no zero because it's following the little tape things that you've laid
exactly.
down.
So there's no templates to worry about.
and
You
you
don't
can-
have to move anything. You punch a button and it'll make it a thousandth of an inch bigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
And they have inlays
that.
where when you set it up, say you're doing a circle, you have it'll ask you if you want it on the line, inside the line, or outside the line.
Yeah. that's
So
right,
if you do outside the line, that's the male. If you do inside the line, that's the female, and they slide
so
right together
smart.
perfectly.
Yeah,
amazing stuff.
I've always been struggling to find a use for the Shaper Origin. Inlays are the only thing that I can think of, like cutting out, like if you're cutting out a guitar body or something like
Sure.
that would be
Hardware. Inlaying hinges, sauce hinges, or
really?
yeah, they had a little ring pull over there that they've got a flush ring pull, and those
Oh,
things
okay,
are always
so-
annoying because you got to be perfect on that circle, and then you got to waste the material in the back, and it does it all in one swoop.
That's
And,
see,
yeah,
there's more
and
to
drop,
it than
drop
And
it
the
in,
mortise
and
and
it's going to
tenon.
be perfectly flush, and yeah, you can do mortise and tenons,
Yeah.
you can do some real complex joinery, but I would see it in the shop as being a lot of inlays, hardware. What a great way to sign a piece is to import your signature in there. You make the signature, then you make the cavity for it, and it plugs right in.
And you made a good point about one-off CNC
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah.
just like, this is, you don't have to, or you're saying it's going to take more time to set up the program to do this one-off thing on a regular CNC as opposed to
This one.
Shaper
Yeah,
Origin.
by the
Yeah.
time you have everything set up for one piece, you'd be done with it with the shaper and have it back in its case and
That's
be on to the
wicked
next
cool.
project.
Yeah.
So, but what should we say? It won't replace a true CNC.
Okay.
Because
It's a different tool,
somebody's
isn't it?
got to operate it. It's not like you can set it up,
Yeah.
walk away, and it does its job.
Yeah, fair.
But for the small shop where they're just doing a one-off inlay or just a few inlays, and they aren't that crafty at inlays, this
Yeah.
is going to take care of it for them. You know, the purists will go, "Oh, I can do that by hand." Yeah, you can. You know, then I mean, my great-grandfather could follow a plow, a mule with a plow, and do a really nice job of getting a straight furrow too. But my grandpa had the first gas tractor in Dual County, South Dakota, and he was happy to have it.
and it's all back to tractors again.
Well, that's how it goes.
So that's a good way of looking at it, because I always thought of the Shaper as like, well, no, it's not as good as a real CNC to me, as a traditional CNC. But it's a
yeah.
different thing. It's a
It is.
totally different tool,
Yeah.
and I've never really made that distinction until
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it's-
Raleigh.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it just it knocks my hat in the creek. You know, there we go again.
There's
I'm going
more.
to send you up that creek without a paddle if you
Yeah,
keep
well,
up this
I've
nonsense.
been there quite a few times myself. Yeah.
Since we're talking about CNCs, the next wave with their, what do they call it? The unlimited.
I want to say unlimited or endless or
unlimited zero technology or whatever. Again, with most CNC things, I look at it and I go, I don't see the point in that. And then the more I dive in, it's pretty stinking cool, because basically you can take as many touch points off of the top of a workpiece.
what's a touch point?
So a touch point is you're basically telling the machine, there's like a 3/8 inch piece of steel or whatever that you put on top of the workpiece, and then the machine comes down and it can sense when the bit touches that piece, and it's just telling the machine this
That's
is the
the
top
surface.
of the surface.
Okay.
Yeah.
So normally you do that once, and the machine is assuming that your workpiece is flat.
Okay.
It's perfectly flat.
yeah.
If it isn't, it's just going to cut deeper, as it goes around. If over on one corner you're a 1/16 of an inch here, and your piece isn't flat, you might be 3/8 of an inch over here, and you're going to break your bit or
Okay,
whatever.
yeah.
So this one, you can take multiple touch points, and the machine then learns the surface of the piece you've put on it.
This is wicked cool.
Sure. If you got a chainsaw slab that you don't want to get rid of the chainsaw marks because you love that
There you go.
beautiful
Yeah.
texture, it could carve letters in there that would be precise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
as
it
you
doesn't
look
have
at
to
'em.
be one plane even.
Right.
It can go. It can sense. You would have to do more touch points on a piece that undulated
twisted
up
or-
and down
yeah,
or twisted
yeah,
or whatever.
yep.
But you could route a sign or whatever for your business in here, and it would actually follow the contours of that workpiece. So for rustic
Sure.
barnwood pieces or whatever, it's kind of a whole new market in CNC. It seems like when I first read it, as a guy who mostly makes furniture or whatever, I'm going, I don't see the point in that. But then when you really think about the applications outside of my world, pretty stinking cool stuff.
And you immediately went to archtop ukuleles in your case, but archtop instrument, like...
Well, yeah,
an archtop ukulele. Now that's interesting.
I just made one.
Yeah.
baritone uke. Yeah.
But like, if you've got a carved top to a guitar or something, and you want to CNC the F holes in,
Yeah.
it can read this. Otherwise, that bit's gonna go slamming into all your carving or whatever, and you could tell exactly where to put it, and it knows the contour, and you don't have to go into like Fusion 360 and dial in that contour at a specific angle or something. You just load up the F-hole pattern, and then the machine's going to automatically translate.
You could even put a little step in it for binding.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then we're really getting into it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
What do you have?
What's
your CNC thing? Joking. You don't have to have a CNC.
A panel carrier from Fish. I'm going to go low tech. You guys sound like you're screening computers. I hate carrying sheet goods.
Yeah.
Like,
because you're human.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
4
you.
feet, it's
Not
amazing.
Some little wimpy.
The worst is Baltic birch.
Are you kidding
The worst
me?
is a 5x5.
Oh, they kill you.
Oh,
yeah.
there's just...
They're
There's
made
no
to just
good way.
mock you.
No.
No good way of doing that.
So it's just from Fish. It's a nifty little panel carrier. It's got two, I want to say they're cam-shaped on either side, and it lets you pinch board, so if you're stacked or oriented vertically, pull it out with this thing, so you don't have to get that thunder grip with both hands, and then it orients. When you're carrying them, it'll carry like horizontal, like a briefcase, like other panel sheet good carriers I've seen, and just like that's cool. That works immediately right off the
doesn't
bat.
hook under the plywood.
No,
though,
it's an
or at the
overhand.
bottom.
I think it's a
Overhead.
briefcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, but have you ever used one of those overhand carriers?
Oh, you feel like such
so
a
much nicer.
superhero because you're locked.
The underhand, like I've got the orange one is you buy it.
Mine's green.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's old school. The green
I'm old.
one.
I'm old. Jesus, get over this.
Well, they're orange now.
Oh, okay.
and they work, but they're just not great.
That happened in this century.
You get that
Probably
at the
not
Tractor
actually.
Supply?
Yeah, Tractor Supplies, right? Yep.
What else? What else you got?
What else? The slab stitcher.
Yeah.
That's a cool little thing. It's this
Wooden laser, one of my favorites.
wooden laser. That's his Instagram handle. He does not have a real name. We have confirmed this off camera. He's just wooden laser. But he's a good guy with a really nice family, and they have this operation called Slab Stitcher, and it's a template routing jig for doing inlay on typically like dovetail keys across a crack in a board. But you can get freaky with it and get like Matt Cremona's
Freaky with it. Yeah.
Does he sell Matt Cremona faces though?
That's a good question. I don't know if they're just
or does
for
he
Matt
just
Cremona.
do that for Matt Cremona?
I feel like if you threw him enough dollars.
Yeah, and Matt
Everyone
would,
has the price.
Matt would probably do
wooden
it.
lasers.
Yeah.
Wooden lasers are gun for hire. So,
Yeah.
I think you could get him to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if we could get the little digital piece that fit underneath that had the laugh along with it, we'd have it. We'd have it perfect.
That's true because Matt, he has his hair blown out for the silhouette for his face. For
Yeah,
that
yeah.
So you need the laugh, I think.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
You know what I think we should do? We should see if he does Kumiko templates.
Can we send it just right to Pekovich's door?
Yeah. You guys are cruel.
We got to work with Mike. We need some kind of
That's true.
release
true.
valve.
Yeah.
It's true.
But
I was really, and I know you guys were not privy to this information, but it turns out I am Wally's
What's new?
favorite at Lee Valley, and their new set of French curves, which it's a set of 6 French curves, like from small regular sized French curves you'd buy at Staples or whatever, up to I'd say 18-inch.
that's nuts.
And they're CNC'd or lasered out of Baltic birch, really nice quality. Everything about it is great. What you would expect out of a French curve, but the best part is they have holes drilled all around the perimeter. And so you could put like registration pins.
Yeah.
And because I'm always drawing on my French curves, grease pencil marks, and I always forget which grease pencil mark I'm supposed to be looking
Or
at.
you don't
whatever.
have the grease pencil and you put the scratch in. And that's,
What are you doing?
I'm going to start doing that
Yeah.
now because that would be better than the pencil mark, which you can't see
right.
from the other side.
And when it gets too scratched up, you just take some 600 grit on a block and sand it all off. It's like you erasing it.
This is
Old
good.
school.
You're off
Yeah.
to-
yeah.
Don't
But-
laugh.
Hold on. But important question. Do they have that the Lee Valley French curves, that rabbit or like sender
No.
tongue? Because
No, they
that's
don't.
awful.
What is that on there for? Why are those on all French curves?
I think it's so ink doesn't build up. Like it's for drafting
Yeah,
purposes.
for making blueprints.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
because the ink would
Wick?
pull underneath
Yeah.
underneath the
Oh.
curve. So without it, then you can go ahead. That was
Ben's
great
dying.
news.
My
Yeah,
throat
he
went
got
weird.
so
Breaking news a little
excited
bit.
about this.
My throat just got weird.
Leave it.
Ben came to the
Leave it.
podcast drunk.
Yeah.
But those, so I can't stand that little rabbit or tongue because it makes sighting so difficult,
It does,
which is
yeah.
less important, I guess, for curves because you're kind of fairing. But
Well, I don't know. I like a curve to be accurate instead of lumpy.
well, sorry,
and-
but
yeah.
like from curve to curve
Have you
to
seen
curve.
his work?
Yeah, sorry.
Bye, folks.
The king of approximation.
It makes sighting so hard because the light refracts around that tongue or
Yes,
rabbit.
it
and you're
does,
like,
yeah.
where I don't know where I am
Yeah.
right now. You know,
is
you
that
kind
a
of
shadow or is that the line or what am I
Exactly,
looking
yeah.
at? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So how'd you find out about that before the rest of us, huh?
I am the favorite. That's why.
He
No,
slipped Wally 20 Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
20
yeah,
CAD.
well,
I don't know what 20 Canadian dollars equals. I gave him a piece of paper with a maple leaf drawn on it.
And we just lost our Canadian listeners. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
I stopped by, speaking of Mac Ramona, I stopped by the Triton booth, and I was really glad to see that somebody else is getting into the oscillating spindle
Yes,
sander game with the belt attachment.
Wait, we talking
Yes.
the handheld one or the tabletop?
No,
one?
The
Tabletop.
tabletop one, I think, like the handheld one.
It looks
It looks-
it looks very similar to the other brand that's
Yeah.
been the only one in town.
Yeah.
But
It's a little bit smaller footprint, which
it
I
is.
like.
Yeah, it is. Very portable.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one's just on the edge of comfortable portability.
Well,
Yeah.
it's portable, but it's just like the space it takes up on the bench or wherever I'm storing it is
Uh-huh.
just a little
Which is
more
usually
than
on
I've-
the bench
Yeah,
or the-
yeah. It's
or
just
the
a little
table
more
saw.
than I want to. But you were digging the other one.
The handheld one is nifty because you can take bigger curved pieces and work at them. You know, like you can work along that curve instead of trying to pick up this big curved piece.
Barry's building a boat.
Don't tell everybody.
Is it
What
for-
if it ends up crappy and now they know that it's...
Well,
It's for his ship's knees.
But, so, another thing I like about it is I don't see them like a handheld oscillating spindle sander. Apparently there used to be a big old one back in the day by Porter
Cable had one, yeah.
Yep.
But it's not... I don't see them around.
Yeah.
So
But
that there's...
this doesn't have the belt on it, right? This is just the spindle.
Just
It's just a spindle. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
one they had sitting on the bench right up front.
Yeah.
The belt is so nice though because you can fair curves with it.
Oh, I bet,
Fairing
yeah.
a curve with just a single spindle is
Oh, there's no way you're going to do
unless
divot.
unless you're actually doing the 1.5 curve that
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the
And
you know
so
the
you
spindle
just hold
is,
it
yeah.
up there. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
done.
yeah.
It just scared Marine, I think. Trying to think what else I saw.
You,
So
you
I've
mentioned
just been
I
there
didn't
today.
see the Veritas layout blocks.
Okay, so did you see them?
They've had those for a while, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're like the little saddle square
Little-
looking things.
It's
Oh,
like
okay, then I didn't.
it's about 1 inch wide, and it's an L. It looks like a saddle square kind of, but every surface is a different measurement. So one surface might be 1/4 of an inch. You flip the block, it's 3/8 of an inch. You flip it this way, it's 1/2 an
Yeah.
inch. I don't know what they were priced at, and it really looked like one of those things that. It's like I look at it and go, oh, that'd be really useful. And then I go, I'd lose that really,
I was
really
gonna
quickly.
say exactly. It would be useful once. then you're out there with the magnet going through the
Well,
shavings.
it's aluminum, so
now you're really in trouble.
But the smart thing is that they sell them in packs of 3. So the idea of hanging on to one is 3 times better.
Do you think losability is part of R&D? Like they make a little tool and they're really like, this is a compact little tool, but then every tester loses it. Like Vic Tesselin. He's like, I misplaced this for the 10th time. And they go, oh, we should do a pack of 3. Like,
I think at some point they just stop sending stuff to Vic Tesselin then.
that too. Yeah.
But the best part of this thing is they have a hole drilled in it, which I immediately thought, take like a little strap and tie it to that, and you could hang it up over, your wherever you're doing these layouts. I don't know. If I had 3 of them, I could hang them up, one over.
Would that interfere with
one over
use?
my planer, one over my table saw, one over.
Maybe that's where you drive the nail through and shear it off, so now you can pick them up with a magnet.
That's some thinking right there.
Well,
My hat
I lose
just
crap.
blew right off my head.
Yeah.
And into the creek. You were talking about, and Tom McKenna on the earlier version of this talked about it a little bit, but the Oneida dust collector.
Yeah. It's a really slick little unit. It's not a portable unit. It's made to mount on the wall and has a little, collection bucket underneath it, dustbin that rolls out on casters, and it has high velocity. It really pulls the air. So it 3 motors in it. 3 small motors.
How so is that like 3 impellers?
I wish I could take it apart and tell you.
They're not going to let you do that, Raleigh.
No, they took the screwdriver out of my hand right before I got to it.
That man has a Leatherman on him.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's not afraid to
If
use
I
it.
could get my Leatherman on the airplane, they'd be in trouble.
The airplane or the...
that too.
Because I want to see how this works.
Yeah.
What is this lift they keep talking about?
But it really is it's a really slick system, and they sell it. You can buy it in a package for I think another $1,200. They sell you a whole bunch of plumbing for it that all snaps together, that has the outlets on it, and so you can buy it as a whole kit where you just put it in, install it, and away you go. It is 240 volt, so you'd need a 240 volt circuit. But perfect for a small garage shop for.
Because you're saying it's a small thing, right?
Yeah, it's maybe about 3.5, 4 feet high. It seems like. Yeah.
Is it really that small?
Yeah, it's tiny. Yeah, and it's relatively quiet. They've got a lever on it. It's got an internal pleated paper filter up in the top of it, and there's a lever on the back side that you pull a lever and it diverts the air through the filter, blows all the crap out of the filter, so it drops in the bucket. So you don't have to take it apart to clean the filter.
Oh, and it's not doing the thing.
No. It just you pull that lever and it goes poof, and it blows everything out of the filter, and you pull the lever back, and you're ready to go. So
Oneida really knows what they're doing with dust collection.
They do a lot of R&D.
It's like the only thing they do, but they do it well.
Well, they got a lot of hats to knock in the creek, so they just keep moving them around.
We're gonna suck that hat off your head and right into this dust collector.
That's right.
Enough of that creek business.
Yeah. Another thing that I like is the muffler that they have for their bigger.
That silencer thing?
Yeah, that silencer. It's a like a glass pack muffler that goes between the outlet and the filter, and it really lowers the decibels.
It knocks off like 3 decibels.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it was like 7, I think.
It's quite a bit. Yeah.
7 or 8, but okay, I do now. I do have one thing about this.
Sound engineering hat goes on.
Yeah.
The noise of a dust collector is mostly from the end of the dust collection hose. So lowering the noise of the collector itself 7 decibels, which is a significant drop of one source, has nothing to do with the loudest source, which is...
But if you have a couple of people in the shop, this is not probably for a real small shop. If you have a couple people in the shop, it drives you nuts when you have to stand within 20 feet of a dust collector that's running while you're trying to work, and the person using the dust collector might be 30 feet away.
Fair.
And you're not hearing their tool as much as you're hearing the dust collector. And between the two of them, you're going to knock his hat in the creek.
Running one with his head. You know? I think we found the title for the podcast.
Raleigh Johnson's hat is in the creek.
Yeah, that's it.
SEO gold.
Well, yeah. Speaking of another knock my hat in the creek, Narex has a new line of chisels. And
A new line?
Yeah, well, it's new material. And they are coming out with chisels that are high chromium content steel.
Do you remember the hardness?
Yeah, 62.
Wicked hard.
Yeah, C62 hardness.
That means nothing to me.
Well,
it's like
it
Japanese
means hard.
chisel hardness.
It means hard.
Like,
really?
Japanese chisels are up 62, 64.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. And first thing I asked him is, when you get that really wire edge, does it crumble? He said, no. So, but they will be a little harder to sharpen, but they're going to hold an edge a lot longer.
So I would assume you're definitely not using oil stones on these.
Can't imagine.
No, probably not. Yeah, something a little more aggressive to cut through that. But so that's a nice thing. They look nice too because they're all polished chrome. Basically.
They have a new Sloyd knife.
Yeah, they do.
It felt good in the hand. Raleigh took about 5 inches off of a piece of basswood.
Yeah, about 3/8 inch deep, and I just cut it right off.
I thought he hands this little spoon carving knife and Raleigh a block of basswood. I'm expecting to get a nice little curl. Raleigh immediately puts it down and does this big push cut right in the shoulder.
Hey, I was going to make a spoon in about 3 seconds.
It's true, yeah. So, it looked nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
They had something else.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Oh, well, they've got a new scribe for...
That's what it was, yeah.
And it's the shaft for the scribe is offset, so it basically forms an ellipse so it won't roll off your bench.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Which is really nice because how many times have we watched it roll in that circle going, can I get to it?
And the radius just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
To me, that's like, remember how riving knives were mandated for all new saws? All marking gauges should have offset beams.
Yes, they should.
Or a flat ground.
Yeah.
Like, just take a file and... I need to do that to my
Yeah.
Do you hear me, Congress?
Yes.
Mandate this.
One thing that I was hanging out at the Jorgensen booth for a bit, and I was excited to see them back, first off.
So they had a good hold on you, huh? Bada boom.
Well timed. It's, without Jorgensen around, because they went out, in 2015 or something?
Yeah. Gone for a
there's
while.
not that many clamp manufacturers.
Right.
And I went over there, I was playing with their clamps. It really looks like they not only have gone back to the original designs, but I feel like they went back to the original designs in the heyday of Jorgensen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Their
Nice.
F-clamps are beefy.
Oh, dude, did you pick up that
very
600-pound... Oh, the F-clamps. No, sorry, I'm thinking squeezy clamps.
The squeezy clamp,
It felt like a beast, the one I picked up.
I was impressed with the squeezy clamp, but it's like, oh, great, that's the best thing that I don't use.
Yeah.
But it was like, this feels quality. It wasn't some chintzy...
Absolutely. But the F-clamps were really, really nice. They were... the handle... It's, a rubberized handle as opposed to...
The wood handle,
They had the teeny tiny wooden handle for the longest time.
Yes, yeah.
Highly polished. That you just couldn't grip. And that's what most of my clamps are. I've old Jorgensens with the wooden handle. These handles were really nice. They're doing the wooden hand screws again. They had some nice aluminum bar clamps that we really need to get in. I really want to test those out. It's
Cool.
It's good to see them back.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's nice to see them not disappear completely because they've been a major force in clamping for a long time. Yeah. And that will
force
keep your
in
head
clamp.
on your head.
If you're having hat problems, squeezy clamp. That's what a squeezy clamp would be good for.
Keeping hats on
your
your
head.
Sure. 600-pound clamping capacity on that, dude.
Nice. Not only that, but if I did it right, it would keep my mouth shut. A lot of people would really find that a benefit.
We'll let your wife know.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I can't think of anything else right now. There's more, I'm sure, but it's all those were the super exciting things. There's probably things that we've left out. But
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
And if there are, we'll write about them. But.
I mean, We covered it pretty well. I put 6 miles on in the building yesterday looking at stuff.
There's a lot of walking here.
There's a lot of walking.
Yeah.
Just an awful lot of it. And a dearth of water.
No water fountains.
No water fountains. No.
They have water fountains. You can't buy water, right?
Yeah.
Man,
At $5 a
our
bottle.
throats parched dry.
Ben's throat did get weird earlier. Remember
Yeah,
that?
weird throat. All right. Thanks, people.
Barry, can you hear me? Can you hear my heartbeat? Barry, can you hear me? Can I burp?